Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm installing this digital instrument cluster to my Land Rover Defender. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys exactly what wires you need to feed this instrument cluster. Now I did also create a diagram so that you guys can see which wires are used for which parts of the instrument cluster. As for the speed sensor, you do ideally need to run a new wire from the instrument cluster to the speed sensor. I'll also link the clip in case you want to change the clip to make it plug and play instead of splicing the other wires or cutting them back and putting it on to the original Land Rover harness. Now the first stage is removing the old instrument cluster. So one thing you need to understand before doing this is that the Land Rover Defender TD5 instrument cluster is completely different to the older Land Rover Defender 300 and 200 TDI setup. On the older ones, it's pretty simple. Each warning light engages basically its own circuit with bulbs, so finding a feed is actually quite easy. On the TD5 instrument cluster, it is a lot more advanced. You're dealing with a proper cluster with shared signals, so it's not quite straightforward. Now when it comes to wiring, you've got three options. The first option is T-splice clips, and these are probably the quickest way to tap into any wire, but these are not the most reliable long term. They can cause bad connections, especially on something like a Defender that vibrates a lot. Personally, I wouldn't rely on these for anything critical. Now the second option, which is doing it properly, cut into the wires and solder your new harness in. If you're working on a 300 TDI, this is probably what I would recommend, or even better, just run the wires straight into the new plugs. Now the third option, which I went for, is making your own harness. This is using plugs that match the ones on the back of the instrument cluster and basically plugging it straight into the original harness. This way you don't need to cut any wires, cause any damage to the original wiring loom, and if something goes wrong, you can just unplug it. Now probably the most important part of this installation is that you need to add a resistor to the battery warning light circuit. What this does is it stops the alternator from overcharging the battery. I'd highly recommend fitting a volt gauge or digital readout as well. That way you can keep an eye on your voltage and make sure everything is charging properly. Once you've decided which route you're taking, we can start wiring this in properly. This is where I started, because before anything else I wanted to get the speed signal sorted first. To get to it, we need to access under the seat box. So I'm pulling this tray out. Now mine's got a diesel heater bolted to the top, so it's a bit more awkward. But if yours is standard, you'll probably have a middle seat or a cubby box here instead. Either way, it all comes out the same. Now technically you can get to the speed sensor from under the vehicle, but trust me, it's an absolute pain compared to this. From here, everything's just easier to see, easier to reach, and much easier to wire in properly. Now at this point, I'm actually cutting the plug off. And yeah, before anyone panics in the comments, this is just what I chose to do so that I could reuse the original connector. But if you don't want to mess with your factory wiring, I completely get it. So I'll link the correct plug in the description so that you can just buy one, wire it in separately and keep your original loom untouched. And that's probably the safer option. I unfortunately couldn't get one of these plugs today, so I had to go the committed way. Next, I'm making a new wiring that runs from the speed sensor all the way to the back of the cluster. It's actually really simple, it's just 3 wires. Now the plug that Metek supplies you already has a resistor built into the red wire, so all I've done there is extended it and then replaced the other 2 wires completely. Right, now we're on to building the main harness, and this is what's going to turn everything into a proper plug and play setup. With the Metek cluster, you get 2 8-pin plugs that are going to be used for all your dash lights. Now what I recommend doing is adding pins onto all these wires first, so that you can literally just feed these pins into the 2 plugs. You can pre-build the whole thing to make it so much easier, but I did mine as I went along. You will need to leave the temp level wire, fuel level wire and battery warning wire out for now. So don't bother putting pins on these 3 because you don't really need them just yet. Let's start with the smaller 16-pin plug. We only need 1 wire from here, and that's your handbrake signal. It's a black wire with a white stripe, but don't get caught out because there are 3 of them in this plug. You want pin 14. That's the 6th on the cross on the bottom row, or 3rd from the right. Now moving on to the larger 20 pin plug. If you've got a standard TD5 setup, this is pretty straightforward. For me though, running a TD5 vehicle with a 300 TDI engine is slightly different. I've had to run a couple of wires direct from the engine, like the temp sensor and oil pressure. So if you see me skipping pins, that's why. But I'm still going to explain it all for you because I want to make sure you guys get it right. Starting with pin 1. This is a blue wire with a white stripe, and that's your main beam. This triggers a blue high beam light on your dash, and on the Metek plug it's labelled as high beam plus. Mine's got a green wire coming out of it, so that pin feeds straight into that slot. And because you've obviously now got your pins on there already, you can put that straight into pin 1. Pin 2, that's the right indicator. It's a green wire with a white stripe on it on the vehicle, and from the Metek instrument cluster plug it's labelled as turn right plus. Mine's got a yellow wire, so we'll feed that in. Pin 3 is your fuel warning light. It's a white wire with an orange stripe, and on the Metek side it's labelled as fuel warning minus. Mine's a white wire, so let's feed that one in. Pin 4. This one is the rear fog light. It's a red wire with a yellow stripe, so if you are soldering your wire on, obviously that's the one you want to trim back. As for if you're making the plug and play system like me, then the Metek labels it as fog lights. My one's got a purple wire, you can plug that pin straight in. Pins 5 and 6, you can ignore those, they're not needed for the instrument cluster. Pin 7 is your diff lock light, which on the vehicle is a black wire with a blue stripe, and on the Metek plug it's labelled as 4-wheel drive, and mine's a blue wire, so let's plug that in. Pin 8 is the rear heated screen. It's a white wire with a black stripe. I don't have this on my vehicle as it's a pickup, but if you do, it's labelled as rear defrost, and mine was a grey wire. Pins 9 and 10, they're not needed. One's hazards and one's trailer lights. You could wire them in if you wanted to custom lights, but they're not required for the instrument cluster. Pin 11. This is your engine management light. On the vehicle, it's a red wire with a grey stripe. It's not needed for me right now, but if you're running a TD5, M57, Alice swap or something like that, then you'll of course want it. The Metek labels it as check eng, and my one's a yellow wire. So if you need that one, plug it into pin 11. And obviously from pin 11 all the way down to pin 20, that is on the bottom row. Now pin 12, this is your glow plug warning light. On the vehicle it's a black wire with a yellow stripe, so if you're soldering it in you will want to go off that wire. And from the instrument cluster plug it's labelled as glow plug plus, and my one's got a green wire coming from it. Now pin 13. This one's critical. It's a white wire with a brown stripe, and this is your oil warning light. You'll know it's working when you turn the ignition on and it lights up briefly. On the Metek plug it's labelled as oil warn, and my one's a red wire. Pins 14, 15 and 16 you can ignore because they're not needed. And pin 17, this is critical. This is the one I told you guys not to put a pin on for now because you may need to do a bit more work on this one. This is your battery warning light. On the vehicle is a brown wire with a yellow stripe, and what this does is control how your alternator charges. If the system thinks the battery is low, it'll keep charging constantly, which can lead to overcharging. So what I did, and this is really important, was add a resistor onto the circuit. I used a 2-watt resistor wired between the ignition live and the Metek wire. This basically simulates the correct signal, protects the system and still allows the warning light to work properly. And with that one, you can try it without doing the resistor, but just be aware that you may need to change this if your battery is overcharging. I highly recommend, like I mentioned before, getting a vehicle voltmeter so that you can just monitor this as you go along. Once you understand it, it's a pretty straightforward process. Now pin 18, this is your left indicator. It's a green wire with a red stripe. And on the instrument cluster, it's labelled as turn left plus, and mine's got a grey wire coming from it. Pin 19 you don't need, so you can ignore that one and move straight on to pin 20, which is your final pin. This one's for the side lights. It's red wire with a black stripe. It's labelled as low beam plus, and mine's got a white wire coming from it. I also use this one to trigger night mode. So when the lights come on, the dash dims automatically. How I did this was I took the blue wire coming from night mode plus and fed it straight into low beam. Then obviously the white wire came from there and went straight into pin 20. And that's pretty much all the wiring for these plugs. But you'll notice on one of the green plugs that the temperature wire is still left. The easiest way to do this is just run a fresh wire straight to the sensor on the engine. There's no splicing, messing around, it's just a clean, reliable signal. Next up, we've got the fuel gauge wiring. And this is where it gets a bit more technical. Now on my diagram, it's showing a TD5 sender unit, which uses 4 wires. You've got your constant live, your constant ground, and then 2 smaller signal wires. For the cluster to read correctly, you need to tap into the thin green and black wire. That's your actual fuel level signal, and run that all the way up to the back of the instrument cluster. Then the thin grey and black wire needs to be grounded, otherwise you won't get a reading at all. What I did was run both wires to the back of the cluster and then grounded the grey and black onto the steering column support bar. But to be honest, you could just ground it near the rear of the vehicle because that will be a lot easier. The important thing is that it is properly earthed. Right, with all that out the way, next up is the RPM signal. This is what gives you your rev counter on the dash. I had to take this signal directly from the alternator off of the W terminal. On mine, that was a white wire. Now we're on to the final part of the wiring, and that's the power supply. This cluster needs 2 things here, an ignition live and a ground. So now comes the moment of truth. We can plug it in, power it up, and see how this thing actually works. Once it's all up and running, you've actually got a few different display options to choose from. There's a standard layout, a sport mode, a yellow theme, and a blue one. Personally, I think the yellow and blue look the best. They just suit the Defenders a bit more. I've ended up running mine on blue. That gives a clean, modern feel without being too over the top. And these don't reset every time you turn off the vehicle. It will revert to the one you were last on when you turned off the vehicle. I'm honestly over the moon with this upgrade, and I think it brings this Defender into the modern era while still keeping the character of the vehicle. If you've enjoyed seeing mods like this, give this video a thumbs up, and if you're into pushing these vehicles beyond factory spec, make sure you subscribe because there's plenty more to come. And guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think of this Metek cluster, and I'll see you in the next one.